Hello, I am Sunita. Welcome to my class. Here I am going to discuss Karnataka TET science topics according to the syllabus. Here the topic is atoms and molecules. In this topic, this is the first class. An atom. Atoms are defined as the basic building block of matter. Atom consists at the center nucleus and electrons they will be revolve around the nucleus. The center of the atom it contains nucleus. Nucleus contains protons and also neutrons. Let us discuss in detail part of an atom. There are two parts to an atom. At the center of an atom is a nucleus made up of two types of particles called protons and neutrons. At the center of an atom, it contains nucleus. The nucleus is made up of two types of particles. One is proton, another one is neutron. This blue color it will indicate proton. This yellow color it will indicate a neutron. Proton have a positive electric charge. Proton always it will carries a positive charge. The number of protons in the nucleus determine what the element the atom is. The proton it will determine, otherwise it will decide the which type of element the atoms. Neutrons are about the size of a proton but have no charge. Neutron it does not have any charge. The size of a neutron it will be equal to size of a proton. Then electrons much smaller than proton and neutron. The size of the electron is much smaller than the size of proton and size of neutron. Here only you can observe the size of an electron is smaller compared to the proton and neutron. And electrons always carries a negative charge, move at nearly the speed of light. Then the speed of electron almost it will be equal to speed of light. And orbit the nucleus at exact distance. You know the electrons it will be revolving around the nucleus. When it is revolving it will follow a certain distance. That distance it will be depends upon their respective energy levels. You know, atom consists of a positively charged nucleus. Nucleus contains neutrons and protons. Then electron will be revolving around the nucleus. Then here in an atom, the outermost orbit contains electron. That electrons we will call it as a valence electrons. These valence electrons they will involve in bond formation. When these valent electrons either they will give the electrons, otherwise they will accept the electrons. When this process happens, then it will form an ions. Then atoms are stable when they have a full outermost electron energy level. To fill its outermost shell, an atom will give, take or share electrons. When an atom either gains or loses electrons, this create an ion. Ion have either a positive charge and negative electric charge. To attain an atom, already I told, to attain its stability, either it has to accept the electron, either it has to share the electron, either it has to give the electrons. When the electrons are exchanging from one atom to another atom, when an atom loses or gains or electrons, then it will form an ions. Therefore the ions may be either a positive charge or negative electric charge. This is a neutral atom. When loss of electron takes place, then it will form a cation. Here the same neutral atom, if it is gains an electron, then it will form an anion. Ions you have to remember, to atoms to attain its stability, either some case they will accept the electrons, sometimes they will share the electrons, sometimes they will give the electrons. That process it will form an ions. Ions it will form only in two cases, when it will accept the electrons, then when it will gives the electron, then it will form an ions. Anions are negatively charged ions. They are formed when non-metal gains the electrons. Anion means you have to remember negatively charged ions. They are formed when non-metals gains the electrons. When non-metals, when it will accept the electrons, then it will form an anion. And therefore they possess a negative charge. If any atom, if it accepts an electron, then it will possess a negative charge. Some of the examples of anions are iodide I minus, chlorine Cl minus, hydroxide OH minus. Then here consider this example. This is the neutral atom. Here number of protons it will be equal to number of electrons in an atom. Then when it is gains electrons, then number of protons remains change in anion, but number of electrons it will be increased by 1. Then therefore it will possess a net negative charge, because number of electrons in anion is more compared to this neutral atom. Therefore anion it will possess a net negative charge. Cations are positively charged ions. They are formed when a metal loses its electron. Cations are formed when metal loses its electrons. They will lose one or more electrons, but there is no change in the number of protons. Here in the formation of cations or anion, only the transfer of electrons, otherwise exchange of electrons, it will take place. Here the protons they will not move from one atom to another atom, because protons they will be present in the nucleus. Only the electrons they will be revolving around the nucleus. Only the outermost electrons they will involve in loss of electrons or accept of electrons. It will take place in only the outermost orbit. Therefore in the case of a cation, they possess a net positive charge. Some examples of cations are calcium Ca2 plus, potassium K plus, hydrogen H plus. Here calcium 2 plus it will indicate there is a loss of 2 electrons here. 2 it will indicate the number of electrons. Then here potassium K plus means if nothing is indicated here, only positive charge means it will indicate only 1 electron. Here also 1 electrons it will lose. Then hydrogen H plus, here also hydrogen it will lose only 1 electrons. Here consider, here this is a neutral atom. To attain its stability it will lose 1 electron. Then here 3 it will become 2. And here one thing you can observe, there is no change in the number of protons. Number of protons remain constant. Here you can see there is a more positive charge present on the cation. Therefore cations are positively charged ions. When any metal, otherwise when any atom, when it is accept electrons, then it will form an anion. If anything, any atom, if it is loses electron, it will form a cation. Difference between anion and cation. Definition: an ion may be defined as an atom or molecule that is negatively charged. Cation may be defined as an atom or molecule that is positively charged. Then charge type, this is negative. Anion, when it accepts the electrons from any other atom, then it will possess a negative charge. That one we will call it as a anion. Then cation, it will gives electron to some other atom. Therefore giving electrons it will acquire a positive charge. Type of element, anion, normally we will get anion from non-metal. Then cation it will be formed from metal. Then type of electrode used is anion, it will be produced in anode. Cations it will be produced in cathode. Example of anions are sulfide, oxide, fluoride, chloride. Examples of cations are iron, lead, sodium. Element. An element is a homogeneous in nature. Homogeneous means it contains same type of atoms. It is a pure substance made up of only one kind of atom. Element means always you have to remember it is made up of one kind of atoms. An element cannot be broken down into simpler substance by any physical and chemical methods. You can't break any element, you can't break any atom by simple physical and chemical methods such as heat, light, electricity or chemical reaction with other substance. Here you have to remember, element you can't break into a simpler substance either by physical or chemical methods. Here we are given some of the elements and their symbol. Aluminium is indicated by Al, argon is indicated by Ar, barium is indicated by Ba, boron capital B, bromine Br, calcium Ca, carbon C, chlorine Cl, cobalt Co, copper Cu, fluorine F, gold Au, hydrogen H, iodine I, iron Fe, lead Pb, magnesium Mg, neon Ne, nitrogen N, oxygen O, potassium K, silicon Si, silver Ag, sodium Na, sulfur S, uranium U, zinc Zn. Then element here, element you have to remember, element is made up of only one type of atom or one kind of atom. Molecule. Molecule is a group of two or more than two atoms of the same or different element that are chemically bonded together is called as a molecule. Molecule is a combination of two or more atoms of the same kind or different kind, otherwise combination of two or more elements. Molecule, simple way, molecule is a combination of either atoms, either different elements, either a combination of atoms or elements. For example, two atoms of hydrogen H2, this one we can consider as a molecule also, element also, because H2 is made up of two atoms of hydrogen, same type of atom, therefore this one we can consider as a element also, molecule also. Then here oxygen, this is also either an element or molecule, react with each other to form a molecule of water. But water we can't consider as a element because water is a combination of H2 and O2 elements individually when two elements combines to form a molecule, because water is a combination of hydrogen element and also oxygen element. Therefore, molecule is a combination of either two or more elements or two or more different types of atom. Here consider here oxygen molecule, then hydrogen molecule combines to form a water molecule, and also you can consider salt molecule also, it is an example of a molecule. Sugar molecule, that is a glucose, is one of the example of a molecule. I know still you have some confusion between element and molecule. Let us clarify here. First, what is mean by element definition? A combination of two or more atoms of the same type you have to remember, that is very important. It is a combination of two or more atoms of the same type. Cl2, here chlorine, you are having two atoms of chlorine, same type of chlorine, therefore this is an element. Br2, bromine, two atom of bromine combined to form a Br2, this is also an example of an element. But molecule is a combination of two or more atoms of different type. Here for this example, already I told water is a combination of hydrogen atom, oxygen atom. Ammonia NH3, it is a combination of nitrogen and hydrogen. Then here sulfur trioxide SO3, here the combination of sulfur and oxygen. Therefore, molecule is a combination of two or more atoms of different type, we will call it as a molecule. Then chemical element has atoms of one chemical element. Then here in the case of an element, in the case of a molecule has atom of two or more chemical elements. Then chemical bonding, in the case of an formation of an element, it will always involve a covalent chemical bond, but when you are forming a molecules, it will involve either a covalent bond, either a covalent bond or ionic bond. Here for example of an element, already we discussed here oxygen, chlorine, bromine, etc. Then example of a molecule, water, NH3, SO3, etc. Compound. A chemical compound refers to a substance made up of two or more elements that are chemically bonded together. Compound is nothing but, compound you will get when it is a combination of two or more elements, they will combine to form a chemically. All element would have atoms or having the same number of protons. Element form a compound. Two or more elements that are held together by a chemical bond result in the formation of a compound. Listen here, see the example here. When two or more different elements combines, they form a compound. The smallest unit of a compound is a molecule. Then here for example, when element sodium and another element chlorine, they will combine to form a chemically, then you will get sodium chloride, common salt. In the simple words, compound is a combination of two or more elements. Then here that elements, they will combine in a chemical form, then they will form a compound. Here for example, sodium is a element, chlorine is a element, two elements combined to form a compound. Sodium chloride is a compound. Here some of the example of a compound: salt, sodium chloride; sucrose, C12H12O11; vinegar or acetic acid, C2H3O2; baking soda or sodium bicarbonate, NaHCO3. Then here some more example: calcium carbonate, CaCO3; carbon dioxide, CO2; copper sulfate, CuSO4; glucose, C6H12O6; hydrochloric acid, HCl; sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, NaHCO3; sodium chloride, table salt, NaCl; sodium hydroxide, NaOH; water, H2O. All the compounds you are getting when two or more elements, when they will combine chemically, then you will get a compound. Let us recall the difference between element, molecule and a compound. Element, a chemical element is a substance that cannot be break down by chemical means. Element you can't break down using a chemical means. You can't break down any element. A molecule is a group of two or more atoms of chemically bonded is each other. Then here molecule is a combination of two or more different kinds of atoms. That atoms they will be bonded chemically. Compound, a compound is a chemical species formed when two or more atoms join together chemically. Here also compound is a combination of two or more atoms, they will combine to form a chemically. Then here element, there are 115 known chemical elements are there in the periodic table. Then molecule, substances composed of two or more atoms chemically bonded to each other. Here molecule is a combination of two or more atoms that again they will be chemically combined. Then compound, substance composed of two or more atoms of different chemical elements. Here in the case of a compound, there is a combination of two or more atoms of different chemical elements. Then here element contain a unique atomic number. Then molecule can be either homonuclear or heteronuclear. Then here compound is always a heteronuclear molecule. Here what is mean by homonuclear? Homonuclear is a combination. It is made up of a same kind of atoms. Heteronuclear means it is made up of a different kind of atoms. Here molecule may be homonuclear or heteronuclear, but compound it should be heteronuclear, means compound it should be made up of different types of atoms. Then here element contain similar atoms. Molecules have atoms of either the same element of different elements. I know I told molecule is a combination of two or more different atoms. Then here compound has atoms of different elements. Then here element can form different types of chemical bonds depending upon the electronic configuration and stability. Then here element it will form a different chemical bond depending upon their electronic configuration and depending upon their stability. Then molecule have either covalent bonds or ionic bond. Molecule it will involve either a covalent bond or ionic bond. Then compound can have a covalent bond, ionic bond or metallic bond also. All the three types of bonds you can observe in a compound. Example of an element is oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, zinc, etc. Then here example of molecule is oxygen, ozone, water, etc. Then here example of a compound is sodium chloride, calcium carbonate. Thanks for listening my class. Send me your valuable feedback. Follow all my classes. Easily you can clear your exams.